Yes, guys, I believe it's time that we get started with our webinar for tonight. I would love to welcome all of us on the platform. And also, I would love to thank you for sparing this time to learn a little bit more about data analytics. I believe this was on a short notice, but with the request from part of the people that really care so much about you, were requested to have this so that we can have a little bit of understanding what analytics is and how best it can help us. Most of us being students, others being fresh graduates, and others being graduands. Those are people that are waiting graduation. We are going to talk about analytics and how best we can utilize data analytics to improve our job search. Yes, I am Nuhu Mtebi. I'm basically a medical informatician and a data scientist. I love data and I love AI. I would say that what inspired me into this field was basically my love for numbers, that is my love for mathematics. I would say I have a health-related background. I did a public health-related course at my bachelor's. That was a Bachelor of Environmental Health Science from Makerere University School of Public Health. However, I would say I'm one of those people who haven't practiced what they studied at their bachelor's. Shortly after, I switched into the world of data, then later on into the analytics, data science, and so on. And currently, I'm working as the Chief Training Officer at the Rida Institute of Data Science, as well as an implementation manager, focusing on enterprise resource planning, that is ERP, and analytics with Mecom Solutions, a company that is based in Singapore, Germany, and France. Yes, I would also love to say that I'm an MBA student. I'm doing a Master of Business Administration with a specialization or a track in analytics and data science. And also I've done several training with Google. Most of us know Google as a search engine. I've done a training in data analytics. I hold a professional certificate from Google. I also have several trainings from IBM and also some of the top universities around the globe. Yes, I'm enthusiastic about when it comes to data and artificial intelligence. And I believe that this is not just the future, but it's what we basically live with on a daily basis. So most of us could be wondering what data is. Some of us could be relating data to the data that you buy from Airtel to be able to access the internet and so on. But I would say that the way that we shall view this data is going to be a little bit quite different, and we shall have to appreciate a lot more moving forward. So I usually ask this question whenever I have a presentation with people like you. I usually ask that what do companies in e-commerce, entertainment, healthcare, government, manufacturing, marketing, finance, tech, charity, and many more all have in common. So just feel free to drop this in chat. So what do you think all these companies have in common? Before we move forward, I'll just give you a bit of 5 to 10 seconds for you to think about what and company in e-commerce. E-commerce is like electronic or online companies that do online businesses. Let's say companies like Jumia, companies like Gigi, companies like Amazon. So those companies in entertainment industry, let's say Netflix, most of us are fans. In healthcare, there are several companies in healthcare, governance, manufacturing, marketing, like Facebook is a marketing company. Even Google is a marketing company. Tech is Facebook, Google, and so on. IBM are tech companies. And there are also those companies that are into charity. Those are charity organizations, those that give out charity-related services to people. And actually, there are lots of more services. What do you think all these companies have in common? I'll proceed. Maybe you have an answer in your head. If you find it's the answer, then just kudos to you. I would say that all these companies generate and use some sort of data. Now, generate you see is in bold. I'm not so sure if you can see that this is bold, but generate you can see generate is sort of just Yes. So you can see that this generate is, let me even bold it further. So all companies generate. However, it is so unfortunate that in most cases, very few tend to use data. And most of us could be wondering maybe and asking yourselves, what is data? So let's go ahead. Moving forward, we are going to cover a number of aspects. We are going to understand data. We are going to look at the types and the sources. So as moving forward and see how best we can incorporate this in our job search, it is better for us to understand what's happening around this. And of course, we are going to look at what we call the data analytics process. Our subject is how do we improve or improving our job search with analytics or data analytics. So we are going to understand the data analytics process. We are going to ask ourselves, why analytics now? And we shall look at the data analyst skills, and we shall go ahead and learn why should we learn data analytics, and also look at some bit of the golden opportunity that will help us hone the analytics skills later on. Yes, let's first understand what is data. Most of us could be having a little bit of a hint of what data is. Like I have had most of us here, I have a math background. I would say whether you have a math background at bachelor's or not, these skills are for everyone. So it doesn't really segregate anyone without a background in math, or it doesn't favor only those with a math background. The only difference is these guys, because of the different concepts, people with a mathematics background are more likely to benefit some little bit of more, and for them the concepts won't really appear new. But this is something that is learnable. Anyone can be able to learn, anyone can be able to obtain a skill and be able to thrive in this world. Another thing I would say is most of us have been in school. Maybe you've been having some bit of everything from your parent. Your parents have been able to provide for you fully, but now it's time that we are now old. We shall have to go out there and have to find a lot of things for ourselves. And another thing that is I'm much more concerned with is unemployment is real. Unemployment is a situation where people don't have something that can generate them some bit of income to cater for the basics of life. So, and that is one of the reasons as to why I'm much more concerned talking to young people, fresh graduates, people who are even still students, because in this world, it's not about how much you've studied. It may not even be about the good grades you get in class. I'm not saying that don't get good grades, but at times the world might appear unfair, like most of us might be hearing from different individuals, that at times even people with good grades may not be really favored so much. However, I would say that people with the right skill at a particular point in life are the same people that will be able to benefit a lot more. Another thing I would say is at times when we learn in school, you start the 3 years, at the end of the 3 years, the world is entirely a little bit different. And the curriculum does not really get updated as soon or as fast as possible to cater for the current needs. So you realize that at times what we study may not really tackle the current needs of the community. And for anyone to thrive best, we need to be able to have the right skills that will be able to address the actual needs or problems that a community have. And once you solve a problem, of course, at the end of it, there is money. So that is why certain skills like this, for example, most of us started school before COVID, the situation was kind of different from what it is today. How people used to do business is quite different. People then were much more into physical things. Today, you can order anything online. So if anyone really today is to focus on which skills to learn to be able to thrive best, they are a little bit quite different from the time before the COVID-19 came in. So, but let's understand what data is. Like I earlier said, this data is different from the data that you buy to be able to access internet, though that could be having a component and so on, like we shall learn, but let's understand. So I would say that data is simply a collection of raw facts. Raw means unprocessed. Facts are facts. So anything can be a fact. I would say when I say 5 of these people are in this group are males. So male, each one of us is either male or female, except the fact that today you could find different genders, but I'll just take that. Anyone is either male or female. So everyone in this group has an age of a particular number. Let's say if someone is 20, someone is 19, someone is 21, 22. So those are simple facts. Those are raw facts. When I say I'm male, that is a fact. So that is what we mean by data. So those simple facts, your height, your weight, those are the simple facts that we talk about in data. Let's say marks in class, those are facts, simple facts. And of course, in class, we have different students who score different marks. And these different students, each one of them has a particular, falls to a particular sex. And of course, if it is a course, there are different also years of study. So each student really falls under a particular year of study. So all that is what we call the raw facts. And I would say, like I've been saying, that these come in different forms. That is numbers. Like when I try to ask about your age, age is a number. Some come in form of letters. Others come in symbols, images, videos, text. So and audio. So all that is data. So even the fact that everyone has joined in here, we already have some bit of data. So that is what we refer to as data. So and of course, this kind of data comes in two main types. We have quantitative data and we also have qualitative data. And when we are to talk about quantitative data, and this is just the kind of data that is based on meaning derived from numerical values. For example, when I say weight of 10 kilograms, when I ask about your age, or when I ask about your height, that's all what we call quantitative data. Quantitative, it can be quantified. So anything quantified, anything that can be given a number becomes quantitative data. At times, this is called numerical data. We also have what we call the qualitative data. So qualitative data is non-numeric. And this kind of data can be used to describe the quality of good, case, or service. And the beauty with this kind of data is we can categorize this kind of data. So what do we mean? When I asked about your sex, you try to describe that I am male. So male has features that describe male. So when someone says male, you know what qualifies a male. Save for today where we have different genders. But yeah, and then I am very careful to say under normal circumstances, but I would say under normal circumstances, we have sex as male and female. Let's say level of education, most of us here at tertiary level, university level. There are people at primary level, there are people at secondary level. So all that, and in the end, you have different categories. So that is the beauty with qualitative data. In the end, you categorize people. You put them in two different segments, depending on the category where they fall. Now, data can also be categorized depending on the source. And on the source, we are looking at where this kind of data comes from. So we can say data can come from primary sources or secondary sources. And the primary data sources or primary data is that kind of data that is collected for the very first time. And this is original. And most of the survey data falls here under this category. We also have what we call the secondary data. And this is data that is collected from existing sources. For example, data from newspapers, data from our websites, and data from records. So when you go out there to read a textbook, whatever you find there or you collect in there, that is secondary data. So now I believe when I talk about data, most of us are not really surprised, because even in our final year projects, save for teachers, at times other courses do some bit of research, and in research, basically, you collect data, analyze it, and have some bit of meaning. And that process that which we don't even focus on so much, is what we want now to discuss now some in form of detail. And I would say that if you have any questions, just note them somewhere at the end of the presentation, or if not, you have some little bit of short or small breaks. That times I prefer presenting at the end. Then people ask if our approach is different. You feel free to, there is a hand, feel free to tap it and raise your hand, and we shall be able to handle your issue. So let's move forward. Data can also be categorized based on the shape. We have structured data and also unstructured data. So when we talk about structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data. So talking about structured data, this is arranged in form of rows and columns. And when we say survey data, some of us who have dealt with surveys, you simply go collect data from individuals, ask them about maybe certain questions, and of course you're interested in something, that's survey data. And I'll give an example. I'm sure all of us are familiar with Excel. So when you see an Excel spreadsheet, that kind of a sheet, how you have your data in rows, different rows and different columns. So that is what we call a structured data. You have it in different rows, and of course you can have age, you can have sex as columns, and of course in individual rows, that is why you have the what we call the records. So for example, I would say these are the columns in a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets usually look like this. Please forgive me, I'm not using a ruler. I know most of us are math teachers, and in the future might be caning people who behave like me, but just forgive me for now. So Excel, we assume, is like that. Maybe here, this is age, this is sex, this is weight, and this is height. So this is what we call arranged in rows and columns. And let's say Nava will be the first record. She'll give her age, sex, etc. Then we shall have Samuel also give us age X, then Joelia, and of course Claire also here. So this is what we mean by rows and columns, and most of the data at times falls under here, but also depending on like most of the surveyed, all surveyed data falls under structured data. Unstructured, this is in unknown form, or it still in its raw form and has no really clear form of storage. For example, images, PDF files, and so on. Looking at social media data, when you go to Facebook, there is a picture, then an arrow of words and so on. So that's all data. And in an interesting world today, we can extract data from Facebook, do some bit of analysis, understand what's happening. And I would say, when you look at Facebook, if you're so keen, when you go to your hobbies, to your this and that, most likely the things you like are even the most adverts that you'll be able to see. Whenever you see anything promoted or sponsored, that's an advert that has been, today you can advertise via Facebook. Even on Google, depending on your searches, those are the things that they recommend for you. So in a way that when you try to search Google whatsoever Facebook, most of us think we are searching Google, but in the actual sense, Google is searching us. Whenever you punch anything in Google, remember we use Gmail, even here to access this meeting, I think I used your Gmail account. When you use Gmail or any other account, you're able to, anything about you is stored, and this Google guy or the Facebook guy is able to learn from you and be able to make a lot more money from you using your data. So that's it when it comes to data. And most of the data, let's say from Twitter, from Facebook, from most of those other sources, let's say Google and so on, is unstructured. However, in between unstructured and structured, we have what we call the structured data. And this is in form of, let's say, XML, JSON, and so on. Later on, as you get more interest in the field of data analytics or data science, of course, you'll have to understand a lot more. Someone cried that data. This guy cried impatient and said, I can't make bricks without clay. So some of us who watch movies, there is a movie called Sherlock Holmes. And this movie was based on the novel book by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So Sherlock Holmes, the best renowned detective, was crying that data, and was saying that by that moment there was a scenario where this guy knew whatever happened, but because he lacked evidence, he was not able to make any conclusive decision depending on this. And that is actually how we are today. If you don't really have the right data, you cannot make the right decisions. And depending on this, it implies that data is like a raw material, like the way you can see clay. So without clay, you cannot make good bricks. So it is the same thing in the 21st century. Without data, you cannot make any decisions. And that is why at the beginning of the 21st century, around 2006, at the dawn of the social media giant Facebook, and of course later on others came up, a great mathematician called Clive Hamby. Most of us, if you're interested, we can read more about him. I just love that guy. Well, he's a mathematician, and I also love mathematics. So anyone who loves mathematics, of course, data would be the best field that I'll recommend for you. This Clive Hamby guy said that data is the new oil. And of course, when he said those words, everyone wondered and said, okay, what is this guy talking about? Of course, people used to, if you're so keen in the past, people used to talk about oil, and oil was associated with blood because wherever there was oil, of course, some bit of politics came in. And of course, where there is no money, you can't expect politics. So because there was money here, of course, this was the big thing. And because of oil, of course, so many things came up. What we call the industrialized nations, by then the USA's grew because of the oil. Of course, this was led by the Rockefellers and other fellas. And of course, you see in the Middle East, those guys are too rich because they have oil. Just look at South Sudan. It was too rich just before the war, but of course, because of oil. Um, and well, a lot more things have been happening in the past because of oil. Vehicles, when they came up, they were able to move freely because of oil. But I would say the world has somehow changed. Today, if you're so keen, people are talking about electric cars, self-driving cars. Maybe you haven't, but in case you're interested, later on you shall learn that one of the skills of a data analyst is curiosity. Of course, as you move forward, you can sort of be a little bit more curious. You learn more about this, and that is when you'll be able to get some bit of interest, and of course also benefit a lot more. But today we talk about self-driving cars. Today now we are talking about electric cars or hybrid cars. So when you're to talk about a self-driving car, these innovations have all come in, even the electric cars, because of data. So now even vehicles no longer use, they want to make it like vehicles will no longer use oil, but rather data, just because data is now the next big thing. So even someone who is just a graduate, like I said, at times the curriculum that we have may not really cater for the basic or current needs of the population, and at times it is only those few that come out and choose to take the path of the, who don't choose to take a path of resistance are the ones who are able to benefit a little bit more about this. However, for us to be able to utilize the data to make the decisions, or to utilize it as the clay to support the brick laying, we use data as a tool and through analytics. And out of this, organizations or companies are able to improve processes. They are able to identify opportunities and trends. They are able to launch new products, provide great customer service, and also make some bit of thoughtful decisions. And out of all this, because data is a tool now, people are able to improve. When you ask for the feedback, let's say at the end of this presentation, we ask for some bit of feedback. We don't just ask for the feedback but rather to help us improve. Maybe in case of another presentation, how best can we be able to make it better such that it is a little bit accommodative, and if anything is not clear, how best can we improve it such that people are coming may not really face the similar issues or challenges. Now let's talk analytics. Data analytics, now that we've understood what data is, just raw facts. So now analytics looks at these raw facts that are in form of data sets, it examines them, and here we are able to find trends and also draw conclusions about the information they contain. Let's say in case I'm to have a database of people that have joined in here, taking their age, taking their sex, taking their course and so on. So I'm able to understand, okay, in the previous meeting we targeted people that are in this field and this field. So how best can we reach out to the rest of the people? And of course, already we've learned enough from what people have just told me, that people are joining in late because they thought that maybe the webinar was supposed to start at 7:30, then we had to adjust. And of course, we've already identified a gap even in our communication. So in case we are to have any similar webinar in the future, of course, now we know best how to tackle it. However, for us to be able, analytics is best applied through what we call data analysis. And this is a process where we collect, transform, organize data in order to draw conclusions, make predictions, and drive informed decisions. So, let's also understand this process of collecting, cleaning, and organizing this data to be able to draw conclusions and make predictions. So what is the data analysis process? Basically, data analysis, like we said, is basically collection, transformation, organization of data in order to draw conclusions, make predictions, and drive informed decisions. So how this happens is what we call the data analysis process, and this is comprising of 5 main stages. And these include identify, collect, clean, analyze, and interpret. And let's look at them one by one. When you have to look at identification stage, this begins with recognizing the need for data analysis, and usually arises from a business problem or a research question. I'll give just a simple example. Let's try to understand why the numbers are not as high as we expected. So this is our problem, or this is our research question. I have less people joined as compared to the expected numbers. So what is the first issue? Maybe it could be a component of time. So this is the problem. Now later on we are going to go ahead and collect our data. And here we determine the target population. What is our target population? When we look at the attendees of this program, we shall look at the people that were in charge of the communication. Also maybe look at the people that had interest but never joined. So this is what we call the target population. Now we look at the appropriate sampling criteria and the techniques. Now we look at what is the adequate sample size, and how are we going to sample, how are we going to select people that are going to participate. And of course, we shall look at the nature structure. Of course, this is as sort of a survey, so we expect structured data. Of course, also the nature could be the source, and here we know we get it from the primary source, from the individuals themselves. And of course, this is what we look at for us to determine what is going to answer our research question. And of course, also, we can also there look at the actual questions or the actual parameters that we're going to collect data on. And of course, we go ahead and collect this data. And after collecting the data, the fact is data in the real world is never clean. So it comes with some bit of quality issues, missing values, outliers, nonsensical value type errors. And of course, these ones, if they are missed at collection stage, they are, when you understand that, of course, there are certain measures that you can put in place to be able to curb some of these ones at earlier stages. So in case you missed any of those ones at that at the previous stages, of course, you're able to go ahead at this stage of cleaning to identify them and address them. And of course, once your data, you have the clean data, you manipulate and analyze it. Of course, at times, you don't really have everything. Let's say age, we are going to collect it as a number. At times, we need to engineer the features. Of course, because data is the new oil, the way we engineer the oil engineering whatsoever, today we have data engineering, feature engineering. So You come out with these, what the parameters are also called variables or features. So you engineer them. Let's say you have age as a variable. So now in our age, which is the variable of interest, you collect it as 20, 30, or whatsoever. So now in engineering, we transform this into categories of age. So we can have age categories, and when we have these age categories, let's say we can now have less than, uh, okay, since we are mathematicians, let's say now we can use less than 18. So those are children. Maybe you can say 18 to 24. Those are young adults. And maybe we say 25. 25 plus. So maybe we can have three categories of this data and understand, okay, out of these ones, who said what, and is there any bit of significance in the differences here and so on. So that is it when it comes to what we call the engineering. And here, of course, when we analyze data, we look at what we call the descriptive, we use the descriptive or inferential techniques. Now mathematicians understand this better. A descriptive, now we are looking at one by one variable. Maybe we look at the mean age, we look at the minimum age, maximum age, and so on. Of course, the standard deviation. We can also sort of compare this versus the other. Finally, we interpret. Here we attach value to the previous steps through proper communication. We can use graphs, charts, and so on. So leaving that, in case you have any questions, keep it. Anytime soon, we are going to go into that session. Why analytics today? Analytics is useful in improving processes, identifying opportunities, launching new services. To improve strategies, we can also use it to provide great services and, of course, make thoughtful decisions. Now, as a teacher, you can look at the performance of students. Now you want to analyze what could be the results, or what could be the cause of poor performance. Of course, analytics is applied everywhere. First, you look at how is performance of males versus females. Are males likely to perform more than females, or females likely to perform more than males? Or really there is no difference? And of course, in case of any slight difference, you want to understand, is this really significant? Does it make any is there any influence in terms of the sex? Of course, you might also look at maybe if you have streams and they are not graded according to who comes first and so on. Of course, then when we're still in school, we had streams, and where I started from, we had north, east, west, and I think north was for the creme la creme. And in case people are segregated everywhere, not segregated based on how someone performs, you can really also go ahead and understand, okay, are these performing better likely to come from stream A or C? Then you also go ahead and understand, okay, why are these ones performing not well? Of course, you go down there and ask them maybe one, is it because of the teachers? Is it so? That is all what we call analytics. When you're trying to understand there is a problem of poor performance, you try to dig it to understand why. And the steps you take, of course, summarize the analytics process. And of course, in the end, you're able to understand and make what we call the thoughtful decisions. Is it because they are, you have inadequate number of teachers? Is it because the teachers are harsh? Or even you yourself, you can do a self-assessment or analysis, and you understand, okay, do they understand me as a teacher? What could be the reason, and so on. And of course, out of that, you're able to get the best, and of course, become the best of the teachers available out there. Let's talk the skills of a data analyst. A data analyst is someone who analyzes data. We've seen what data analysis is. So data analyst needs some bit of basic programming and statistics knowledge. And of course, most of you learned about linear programming. Now we are talking about maybe programming with statistics. Here, we no longer do those things manually. Here, we use softwares or tools. And the available softwares, we have Stata, R, Python. Some of us could have heard about some of these ones. And of course, you have spreadsheets. Spreadsheets, we have to talk about Excel. There are also online, Excel online. There are Google Sheets. There are also others for Mac and Linux. And of course, you need to have presentation skills. By the way, presentation, after analyzing and doing everything, if you don't have communication skills, if you don't know how to communicate, or if you don't know how to present, people will get bored. People, even stakeholders, will not be able to take on whatever recommendations you make. Or if not, you may not even be in position to give the best of recommendations. You need to have some visualization. Of course, Excel can be used to create the graphs, the charts. When we are to talk about visualization, now we are looking at charting, graphing. Of course, there are tools like Tableau, Power BI, and of course, Excel that most of us know. And of course, you need some bit of critical, analytical, and creative thinking. Now, as a data analyst, you need to see beyond what everyone else sees. You need to ask yourself beyond, even when the data suggests. But of course, above all, don't be this person where you go to a community and say, these people need posho. Yet the people they actually need is actually roads, not the food. So with analytics, of course, even governments are advised best. So if anyone has a chance, or if you have any relative in government, at times people just wake up and ask their wives, what do you think we should do for these people? And the wife says, I think give them water. So someone wakes up and says, okay, in this district we are going to give water. But with analytics, you use data. So this data is what is going to help you to make the decision. And of course, some bit of domain knowledge. Domain knowledge is a knowledge in a specific field. Let's say like I usually deal with health related data, so you need to have some bit of health. In medical informatics, we deal with medical systems and so on, so you need to have some bit of knowledge in there. However, as a data analyst, like we said, critical, analytical, and creative thinking, here also is where we bring in what we call as a skill set, we call it apologies, why is the word running out of my head? So we call it curiosity. So we also need to have some bit of curiosity under here, some of these soft skills. Now, curiosity is simply your zeal and desire to learn. Your zeal, so you should have the zeal and desire to learn as a data analyst. Now let's look at this. Is analytics worth my time and money? Why learn analytics? Now let's discuss this. So in the world of today, like you were a teacher and you add on analytics skills, I have seen teachers who actually don't go out there and teach, but rather organizations, most cases, okay. So in most cases, organizations, there are organizations that deal in some bit of also education. Some do inclusive education, some do this and that, and they are to go out there and empower communities. And in these organizations, teachers are actually highly employed in there. You don't go out there to teach the normal traditional way, but rather you're doing it in form of a project. And of course, organizations also give some bit of more money. And today teachers are also paid well, but based on what we shall see later on, you can go teaching if it is your passion, but it's still, you can do part-time of some bit of, you can, for extra income, you can also choose to take on the analytics skills, and you'll be able to earn a lot more income, more extra income. But also, sometimes you may not be so fortunate enough to get a job as a teacher. And this analytics, of course, you joining could be another opportunity that you might explore. And before you know it, you're not teaching, you're into something different. Like I said, I did public health, but now I'm into IT, I'm into analytics. So it could be one of a kind. But I would say that I've worked with Save the Children. Save the Children is an organization that is for children, and I have seen many teachers employed in there. But I'm saying that if you have analytic skills, today organizations, everyone is waking up. Everyone is realizing that the way to go today is analytics. If I need to make any proper decision, it is analytics. If I need to do this and that, I need to understand the data I have. If anything here and there. So I need to, a moment. Someone trying to join in. I don't know who cancels them. Apologies if you know someone, I didn't see the name very well, but please encourage them to keep joining. Apologies about that. I don't know. Some admins should be canceling instead of admitting in. So people are waking up everywhere and they are realizing that data is the way to go. And of course, I would say that this is a virgin area. Very few people have ventured into this. And now I'm also going to say that even at times wrong people are in this field. I could be a wrong person in the field. I don't have a math background like most of us here. But I'm not saying I'm a wrong person. But there are also some people with the right skills are not even able to join in. Let's say people with math at the right cream la creme to be able to go into analytics. So, but it is different. It is not the case. Why? One, people are not informed. People are not informed. That is the truth. People, I would call it ignorance. People are ignorant about what's happening. People don't know how best this can actually help them even improve their livelihoods. But I would say that depending on what we're going to discuss, it is upon you to either understand or take it as with analytics to understand if analytics is worth your time and maybe money or other resources that you might invest in. Of course, I consider time as the best resource. So, and anyone who gives me their time, that I appreciate most, because when you utilize your time well, you get the money. So that is obvious. Why should you learn that analytics? One, job growth, demand, salary, competitive advantage, universal need. We are going to discuss these 5. And of course, the 6th one is the flexibility. Looking at job growth, data analyst positions projected to grow by 25% between 2020 and 2030 by US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, in case you're to go to your Google and search for data analyst, you will get a lot of positions in there, both in Uganda and outside Uganda. And I would say even if you're to check, they usually advertise for jobs, I say news in newspapers. But I would say every day they advertise, they should advertise for data analyst or someone in a similar role on a daily basis, not 1, not 2. So which means there is a huge demand here. Let's look at the demand. There is increasing demand for individuals who can use data to help businesses and organizations improve. Okay, thank you. There is an increasing demand for individuals who can use data to help businesses and organizations make important and critical decisions. Now, this demand is there. Like I said, let me give you a very simple example. This one I usually give it. Supermarkets in Uganda generate a lot of data. But actually, I believe very few of them know how to use this data. That data where customers come in, buy this and that, the other, and so on. I'll give a use case scenario for this. You realize most customers are likely to buy sugar and toothpaste. Now, when you're to look at these two products, there is really no big relationship. But when you analyze your data, sales data, it shows you that customers are likely to buy sugar and toothpaste. But remember, your supermarket is too big, sugar's around the entrance, toothpaste is the other side. So in decision making, when you're to get this as someone operating the supermarket, this one can help you understand that I need to put sugar and toothpaste closer to each other, because customers are likely to buy both of them, these two products together, which means I will save on the time of the customer moving from here to the end. So that is part of the simple decision making, but a lot of decisions can be made, even if in terms of what should I purchase, which products are likely to, be consumed as fast as possible, so that I invest more time and more resources in purchasing these ones than the other, so that I can make a lot more profits. So this is how data can be utilized, and I would say that very few people can do this. These opportunities are out there, and today, to curb unemployment, you want someone who is going to start searching out for their jobs. You need to have these skills. You also need to be a good communicator, so that you go out there and convince them, well, you have this data and I can help you make better sense out of it. Of course, how are you going to do that? Of course, you need to tell them, by doing this, I'm able to do this. By doing this, I'm able. And of course, the owner of the business, all they look at is how best can they maximize the profits and so on, and also reduce on the unnecessary losses. Let's talk salary. I have worked as a data analyst before, and I would say that is where I've spent most of my time, but data analysts are paid far better than any other profession. Even in organizations, data-related roles, today there is what we call monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation people are paid far better, even here in Uganda locally. But I would say this is much more fatty to those who have appreciated the value or worth. People outside Uganda, those companies outside Uganda, they give money. You can see, good money actually. So, today opportunities are there. I would say today I work with a company that is overseas, but I'm based in Uganda, I'm not overseas. But the roles I work on are data-related roles. So, and these are the same things that most of us can really tap into. And opportunities are there, and they are infinite. So, look at the competitive advantage. Ability to utilize data, ask questions and answer them is a powerful competitive advantage, resulting in new income streams, better decision making, and improved productivity. So, this, as a data analyst, you're able to help companies leverage this. Look at the universal need. Every business generates data. Like in the start, I asked a question, what do companies in different sectors have in common? We saw that they all generate. However, very few use this data. So, hospitals actually generate a lot of data, but very few of them utilize this data to understand what happens around the patients, how best they can improve patient care, and so on. So you coming up, the beauty with data analytics, we groom people that are able to go out there, sensitize. When you sensitize, people realize the need. So realize there is a problem, and once they realize that, it is an opportunity for you to be able to tap. So every business generates data, but its value depends on your ability to process, manipulate, and ultimately translate that data into useful insights. So let's also look at flexibility. The fact is, it is easy to work from anywhere. By the way, including your bed, bathroom, or even the beach. And what is interesting, you can work when you're in your underwear. Because you can work with flexibility, you can work anywhere. You can choose not to leave your bed on a particular day. So that is the beauty. And let us look at the best philosophy for learning analytics. One-on-one mentorship is the best way to learn. Project-based learning is more motivating and effective. Flexibility to learn anywhere and anytime is critical. Now, most of you, there was a time you even rioting about having online lessons, I would say IT or data related skills are obtained when you have flexibility. You don't need to be seated in class all the time, because you need to think beyond the class. When you're in class, after the class, what happens next? So it is different. Now the tradition of teaching is different when it comes to analytics, because you need to focus, you need to spend more time. You need actually to identify when you function best. That is when you should input your resource. So if you function best in the night, rarely do institutions teach during the night. They end usually at 8, maybe 9 latest. But you function best late in the night, 6 a.m., 12 a.m., 4 a.m. So how about that? So that is why in analytics, best philosophy, you need flexibility. And finally, also need discipline. And this discipline is key, because you're working from, or you're learning from anywhere and anytime. If you're not disciplined, if you this kind of a person who needs to be pushed, you won't get the best. You won't get the best. That is the truth. So discipline is key to understand, okay, at this particular point I need to be doing this and that. So that is the way you'll be able to get the best. I would say this, that data analyst jobs are about skills, not credentials. Now, my first job where I leveraged, of course, after school, I did public health, but I've never done any public health. I started getting my skills way back in my, towards the end of first year, then second year, third year. By the time I finished, I had some bit of skills, and my first job, I think I landed, I was working as a data manager, project officer and data manager for some company, Swiss Institute of Public Health. But these are skills that I got during school. And when I was interviewed, I was actually able to perform what they wanted. And actually, I got my first job before graduation. So this period, as you're awaiting your graduation, is the same period that I was able to get my first job. But because of these skills, and many of my colleagues, some of them took time, others got, of course, immediately, others were upgraders. And of course, I first worked on more or less short-time roles, because those are the roles I preferred. I believed I had a lot more to learn, and committing 100% my time was not worth it. I still had a lot to learn. So by this, the need is growing. Enough schools are not teaching it. By the enough schools are not teaching these analytic skills. Actually, even where they teach statistics, there are people who do Bachelor of Statistics. I have worked on jobs where I've been interviewed with people who have done statistics. There's also a job I did as monitoring and evaluation officer. I did not have a certificate or credential in monitoring and evaluation. I did not have any of this. But what happens is I was getting that job because I had the right skills. So in the world of analytics, people are not much more interested in which papers do you have, but rather, just like IT people are into, what can you do? So which means getting these skills is ultimate. And of course, even those who teach it at times have stringent requirements, which usually discourage. There is a time I wanted to do a Master of Computer Science from Makerere University, but I was actually trashed out. There was even a conference I had, and I shared with those guys. I told them, truth is, I can do some things in IT that trained graduates cannot do. But when I applied for your master's, I was trashed out, because the requirements are stringent. They don't cater for people who are curious about the skill. And yet the skill can be objectively verified through portfolios and technical interviews. So, for example, in case you're to work on any project, even as you're learning and you create anything, a simple data analysis. So we are going to look at this. So the portfolio, today sites or social networks where you can go create your very good portfolio, I would say LinkedIn. I don't know if some of us have heard about LinkedIn. So as any person, before you invest your time and resources on Facebook, grow your LinkedIn profile. You've done anything, add to your portfolio. Under LinkedIn, add I have, even if it is not a job, but it is a training, add it somewhere. And on top of this also, you have to work on your CV. There are so many resources out there that will teach you on how to better your CV, how to make a very good LinkedIn profile. I'm also on LinkedIn. Those interested can reach out. You search for Nuhumte on LinkedIn if you have a page there. If you have an account on LinkedIn. So when you go search there, you can try to look at my profile. It is not really the best, but try to work on your LinkedIn. Even as you apply for jobs, add on your CV your LinkedIn URL page. Someone goes there and they see anything you do, even if it is training, you're learning data analytics with Excel, the simple project that you do. For example, at Graduands Institute of Data Science, every course we have a final project. And that final project is a one-on-one. We guide you through. So even as you go through that final project, that is already like you're working. You see, it is not really entirely different. Even how we structure it is in line with the demands and the needs, current needs. So by the time you're done with that, it's like you've analyzed the data. So add that on your LinkedIn, add that on your CV. So that is how you'll be able to grow. And of course, I know with these stringent requirements, together we can, advocate and introduce analytics as a technical and vocational skill whose entry requirement is just curiosity and desire to obtain the skill. So this is what I believe. Most of these ones, it is just curiosity and desire. Personally, I did not have any of this. My background was in health, but my desire and made me to go more into this. So I believe everyone can leverage this. So I would say just briefly about, most of us could be seeing maybe once in a while about this Reader Institute. You can go, we are there, reader.institute. You can search more about this. So we are a data analytics and AI research and training institute. For us, our interest is to marry both theory versus practical. Interest is just to grow a generation of critical and creative thinkers who are capable of utilizing data and AI to support businesses, governments, organizations, communities, and individuals lay a better foundation for decisions. And by this, we can realize sustainable development. So amongst the tools we teach, there is R, there is Kobo for these data collection, there is Stata, Python, Odoo, Tableau, Power BI, Excel, and many other tools. So this is what we basically do. By this, we just groom and train. And finally, usually we give some good discount to those ones who are interested in learning. So we have a number of courses. Of course, when you visit, you can go to reader.institute and you can find these courses. But we also have a sort of webinars like this, where there are those webinars for example, in the near future, we shall have a webinar on introduction to data analytics with Python or with Stata. So, and those are free of charge. So you can have that. Sometimes for you to get, of course, more knowledge, we can refer you to the course and so on and so forth. And finally, I would say if research and data prioritized, we are then sure of an expected end. You see, we have the data, we can look at what happens in the past, what happened in the past, and seeing what happened in the past. We are able to make today better, and of course also have a happier tomorrow. So that is it about the presentation. I'll let you guys, in case you have any question, you can utilize a few of the coming minutes. Of course, we started a little bit late. and we can utilize about 10, 15 minutes, depending, but we can answer any questions that you guys have. So once that is done, we can call this a meeting. So we are welcoming questions. Those who have missed, don't worry, we have this, we have recorded this and we are going to upload it on YouTube. So you tell your friends who have missed that they can really access this on YouTube. So guys, any questions are welcome before we close or we end the session. Yes. Feel free to raise up your hand. You can tap. There is that. Yes, Samuel. I see your hand is up. Yes. Samuel, go ahead, unmute and ask.
Yes, I'm asking.
Yes,
Thank
go
you so
ahead.
much. Before I go on, thanks so much for the information. Indeed, ignorance is attacking, is a very big demon. But my question is, with all that you've given us, how do we start? As for now, we are from the university, but how do we start in order to study that course? What do we need to do that?
Okay, so we have a number of courses, and we also have there is a course we allow me share this. I think let me share again. Just a moment. So I'm going to share about just sort of the courses that we have here. So of course, some of them are not not. So when you visit our website, our institute website, you'll learn something like this. So of course, we have a number of courses here. Anyone can apply and learn this. So however, some of these ones, like some of them will start later on in the year. For example, we have this applied data science. We also have applied data analytics. So later on, these ones, of course, you'll find in applied data analytics, someone will learn Excel, someone will learn Python, someone will learn this data visualization, Tableau, and so on. However, there are also individuals who are interested. I want to learn analyzing data with Stata. That is just an individual. And these ones, applied data science and applied data analytics, will start basically next year. However, we are going to have simple webinars to get us started. So we are going to have a simple webinar that will introduce us maybe to some bit of concepts of programming for data science. And that is going to be before the end of this month. That is something that we are starting up to help young people. That is going to be free of charge. So those ones that want to take on courses where they can get comprehensive training and also some bit of a certificate. Of course, some people in the world are still locked into show me the certificate. What have you done? And so on. So usually also to showcase that you've done and you have the skill, at times a certificate is good. So that is when someone will go ahead and maybe enroll for the course and get a certificate. But getting you started, don't worry, by the last week of September, we are going to have a webinar on introduction to Python programming for data science, for data analytics and science. So, and of course, later on, we shall look at data analytics with Python and so on. However, you can feel free to apply for any of these courses. For those who want to get comprehensive training, of course, what we shall share in the webinar won't be as comprehensive. And of course, there will not be a certificate. Like I said, a one-on-one mentorship is the best, and that is what we offer. And of course, also in addition, there are lots of resources out there. You see, I'm one person because we run an institute. I won't tell you that our institute that is the only source of the information. So information is everywhere, on Google, on YouTube. The only difference is the institute will guide you onto what we call strategic way of approaching the issue. There the video will just say, okay, this and that. When you, of course, you search, you won't know which to learn first and so on. So that is the only difference. But other than that, really resources are everywhere. However, for you to be able to tap, you need some bit of mentorship. And this mentorship is where you'll be guided on what to start with, after what to handle. So, yes, basically, I hope, does that answer you well, Samuel?
Yeah, you've answered me. Thank you so much.
All right. Yes, guys, questions? Just raise your hand or feel free to just unmute. And since we are not so many, just unmute and ask. Though raising a hand will be better. Any more questions?
I can ask you again.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
A computer, a requirement, or a laptop?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Maybe I forgot to talk about that. Of course, in case I'm to open, let's say, this will open on a new page. Okay, that's fine. Let's say, let me just open, let's say, applied data science. So let me go to that course and you see. So of course, each of them has the requirements someone needs to be able to access if it is a course. So there are, each course has its own sort of requirements that you will, but in simple terms, in summary, you need a computer and you also need stable internet. So, and stable internet means you can access, since it is online, this is where you can utilize this internet to access the content. And of course, maybe you can come here. You need stable access to internet, personal computer for practice. Of course, there is some basic statistical knowledge, someone with math and are you saying what I'm saying? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I was on a different. So when you're to visit here, this applied data science, the course, you'll be able to solve cost the fees and so on. However, like I said, for you who have attended here, there is already a discount of 30%. So that's not a worry. And of course, also we accept installments. So you can pay in installments and get the skill. Access to computer. So these are requirements here. Stable internet first. Access to have a personal computer. Of course, basic statistics knowledge. This is just to help you move faster. However, all concepts are covered. So in our courses, we design them that it gets someone from zero to hero. So even if you don't have this, what we teach is adequate. We cover all the concepts. And of course, you need time commitment. So every week, at least on a daily basis, you need to commit at least 5 hours. And of course, what is also more important is to have the passion to learn as fast as possible. So really, those are the simple requirements that you need. Yes, I'll welcome other questions, guys, if you have. Let's try to do this and finish up in the next few minutes. So for you to apply, you can, however much it is starting, like this one is starting on 31st of 2023, January 2023, you can apply now. So you just click on this apply now button and your application gets processed. Yes. So any other? Someone to ask? Or we can end the meeting. Dennis, Morunji, Nava, I see Isaac, Claire, Eliab. Someone is raising their hand. Who is this someone? Is someone raising their hand? Please just feel free to talk. Yes, Nava.
Yes, for me, I'm wondering, okay, the kind of features the computer should have. Probably I'm failing to know.
Okay. Your computer should have at least 8 GB RAM and should have
8
at least
GB.
8 GB RAM. And now should have 256 SSD hard disk. Now, hard disk should be SSD solid state. So, all normal computers usually have HDD. Now, SSD, the beauty is at times it can be converted into RAM. So that computers with SSD are usually faster. So someone should not deceive you to get you a machine with, I hear, 1 terabyte of storage, unless it is SSD. So you should get 8 GB RAM and SSD storage.
Okay.
Is that clear? So when you go to buy, you tell that person to give you, do you have SSD? Yes, that is the computer you need.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you too. Any other? I have been practicing data analysis using R, but I have been facing some challenges in some areas. Would like to link up with you for more. That's very okay, Liab. R is one of course, the tools for data analysis and data science. And of course, it is really the best for data analysis. Of course, also data science, they have very good packages and libraries. And now, let me also talk about this. Data analysis and data science have some sort of a simple difference. And for starters, usually I recommend data analysis. Why data analysis? Of course, data analysis is a component of data science, but data science, because it has some bit of modeling and so on, sometimes you might start the course and get confused and bored. But after some bit of practice in the future, as you go on, you analyze the data moving forward, you can keep developing interest for data science. So we have this data science course. It is okay, even how we apply it and so on. However, from experience of different learners and so on, at times I advise to start with data analysis. So, but depending with passion and curiosity, really everything is very, very possible. Yes, so I hope we can end that meeting here, unless any of you has one more question. But like earlier I said, you can find this. We are going to upload the recording onto YouTube. I'll share the link shortly, and you people will be able to have great access, and you can share with your friends, and I'll be able to communicate, and of course we shall talk. I'll talk to the other individuals, other leaders in the institute, and we shall look out for the best time where we can start our introduction to Python programming for data analysis. That will be about 2 evenings. And of course, the rest of the time will be upon you guys to really practice and move forward. Yes, thank you so much. Let's link up. In case of any webinar, please, you attend and have this skill. Even as you searching out for the jobs, I would say you having these skills is really something good. And I believe that you adding it on your, let's say LinkedIn and so on, will be able to earn you. And of course, even if you're applying for any other job, you saying or adding this, that you're able to analyze and be able to utilize data to make better decisions, of course, will put you onto another level. So thank you so much for attending. Oh, I see. Denise, is your hand still raised?
Yes, it's raised.
Yes. Please go
What
ahead and ask.
what do you mean by LinkedIn? I didn't understand that well.
LinkedIn is like Facebook, but this is more or less for professionals for connecting individuals. Let me give you an example. I have a LinkedIn profile as well. Those interested, you can go search for this guy. So for this name, for those of us who have LinkedIn, so maybe you can search more about LinkedIn. So this LinkedIn tells us more about you. And many people that give out jobs utilize LinkedIn to someone accesses your page to see what you post and many other things about you. For example, here, um, like say I've done training with Google Data Analytics. So here you update. So let's say you do a course under training with Redare Institute of Data Science. Let's say this is for IBM. So you update your LinkedIn. So when someone comes, they don't even at times even need to ask for your CV. Your LinkedIn is saying it all. And of course here, experience. This will tell more about the things you've done. And of course here, someone doesn't need your CV. So what you would have put on your CV, you put on your LinkedIn. For example, you see here data analyst or scientist, to present and so on. So you tell us a little bit briefly about what you do there, the skills that you've obtained or you utilize there and so on. And of course your education. So these are the same things at times you add on your CV, but LinkedIn gives you more. For example, here, data analysis with R programming. When you go there, you're able to see the certificate. So you don't need to upload your certificate anywhere. So LinkedIn will just be able to do that for you. So, and of course, the skills that you have, the same things that you would have added on your CV. So some will just come on your profile and they are able to see that. And if you're a good fit, people will just reach out to you and they'll give you the job. So that is LinkedIn. So in your job search, LinkedIn is actually one of the key requirements that you should have. So go update it. There are so many videos that can teach you on how best you can utilize this LinkedIn. YouTube has lots of resources. So I think it is time for you guys to tap into that. And you can be able to create a very good profile. So, yes. Does that answer you, Nava?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. So instead of spending a lot of time on Facebook, I think it's better you utilize LinkedIn because I have not seen people who get jobs from Facebook. Very few. But LinkedIn, the profile, the things you post. So even your posts, be careful. Your posts should be related to the things you do, your interests and so on. For example, I also have a few posts like these ones. Of course, when you go there, you can see, so you can see posts. So these are the things that people still will look at, your interests, to see if this is really taking them anywhere. So that is it. If you need any more help, even on how to go about the LinkedIn, if you need more help on how you can be guided on how you can get started. But like I said, we are going to have a webinar for you guys and many other. We shall start with bit of programming with Python, how you can get started with that. But specifically, Python is a general purpose programming language. It can do a lot more, but our focus will just be for data analytics and science. So, and of course, others like SQL, this and that for querying, and we shall be able to keep learning as we move forward. Yes, if there are no questions, if Nava, if your hand is not up, you put it down. If there are no further questions, I would beg to end here. So I thank you guys so much for attending, and I would request that we end here and be able to move forward and keep in touch. So thank you so much for attending. God bless you all until we meet again.